It's game week, and the Chiefs are first on the docket in the NFL. How do they go back against the Ravens, and just how much are they gunning for them to be first in this NFL season? Today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We're brought to you today by PrizePicks. PrizePicks can get you what you need. Use the code LOCKEDON MLB to win $50 instantly right now at when you play $5. It does help to get in there. That's even win or lose just for playing $50. It's guaranteed at PrizePicks. Run your game. We'll tell you more about them coming up. We are going to talk about, for the first ball game of the NFL season, your Chiefs versus the Ravens. I'm here for it. It's been a long time getting to this point, and it's a short week. So we're going to get on it right away and get you into it. So where are they? What do they have to do? How do they avoid a rough start? That's coming up later in the show, as well as how do they get out? And what's the positives of being early here in the first season? And it all starts with the rematch against a Ravens team that was this close to ruining your back-to-back. This is Chris Clark, back on the air and ready to go. You can find him at Chiefs Corner and get all of his written content as well. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, as well as RGR Football. If you'd like and sub and hit the bell here on YouTube, as well as following up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, you can get us on every platform every day for free all the time, because that's what we do on Locked On, your team every single day. And if you need that much more information, go to 816-357-8781 and get subscribed over there, because that's where the breaking stuff happens. That's when we let you know things before we even have time to record a show. So if you need it, go get it there. And thanks for subbing to our other outlets. We have a ton going on. And we start today is taking maybe a short look back to look forward here at the Ravens. This came down to a L'Jarius Sneed play in the AFC Championship game that really set the tone for how you could get to the Super Bowl. And now no one in the Ravens organization has forgotten that. Yet I don't think that Ravens organization is the same as it was then. So where do you land right now? Do you feel good about starting with the Ravens, or is it too much of a grudge match that the Chiefs don't have enough guys to that were there in the first place with the turnover on this roster to really hold off the animosity?
Oh, I think that they have enough guys on this roster to hold off the animosity. I think that you are going to be looking at this game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I like that it's the first game of the season, mainly because I feel like Kansas City is, and you look at their roster and you look at their coaches, this is going to be the team that they were last year. Their coaching staff didn't change. Yeah, they lost a couple of players, but their players, for the most part, are the same. And you're in a situation where you're heading into a second game against the Ravens. Obviously, what is this? Their third game, I guess their second game after playing the Ravens the last time, their second real game. You have a lot better idea as to what they're going to be doing. And yeah, their defense is going to be changing on the Baltimore side, but I feel pretty good about this one. I think that Kansas City is going to be ready. And I think that, yes, they're going to miss Hollywood Brown, as you talked about on Friday, but I do think they're in a situation where they have a lot more talent than they had last year on the opposite side of the ball. And defensively, yes, they lost L'Jarius Sneed. Yes, they lost Willie Gay. I think those will be losses, but I think that they're going to be able to put up a lot more points than they have been in the past. And this is going to be a pretty nice weather game. You're not going to be dealing with the weather elements in this one, I don't think.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, for me, it comes down to being able to do what you need to do against the likes of Justin Madubuike and Travis Jones, some high dollar front players in that Baltimore defense, and making hay against what is still a strong secondary, but I won't say they're as good as they used to be. Marcus Williams at free, definitely got to keep an eye on him. Marlon Humphrey is going to get in the mix at corner, but he's not as fleet of foot as he used to be. The guy that's right behind him, Nate Wiggins, who should be in their three-corner set, is the guy to watch in terms of being able to match speed with Xavier, with McCole, with the guys that they're going to use to stretch the field in this first ball game. So on the Chiefs' offensive side of it, I do feel like there's a little bit of a mix. You might be able to take advantage of some run lanes against some, particularly the left-hand side of the Baltimore defense. But it's really going to be about testing their young players and their old players in the pass game.
Yeah, and then you look at, the Chiefs when they're taking the defensive field, that's going to be a lot different than it was last year against the Ravens, because they have a guy named Derrick Henry. I mean, that is going to be a lot different than it was last season. So I do think that that's going to be something that needs to be watched as well. I do think that he's going to be a big key in how the Chiefs play this game. But again, I go back to what I said before. The Chiefs offensively, I think they're going to be pretty much a wash. Maybe a little bit of step down at left tackle to start the season, but their weapons are so much better than they were last year, and they should be in a better spot, or the same spot offensively when you look at the rest of their offensive line. But the weapons that they have around Patrick Mahomes, the weapons they have added to be around Travis Kelsey, you may see a situation where they come out with Carson Steele and Pacheco on the field at the same time and run some power. You could see a situation where they come out and have three tight ends on a regular basis in maybe a couple of different drives. I mean, there's lots of different ways this offense can go, and I'm really excited to see what Andy Reid has built for this Ravens team, because he's been planning for it since the schedule was set.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this plays into the hands of one Andy Reid. Now, there's some matchups and there's some advantages to being out there early amongst the NFL, and obviously being the primetime game. There's some pluses there. But what else on the field can you reap from that as a benefit? That's coming up next. Getting your tickets to Arrowhead just got easier. Whether you're looking for that week 1 against the Ravens, week 2 against the Bengals, or even week 5 when they come back in October for the New Orleans Saints, they have a new feature at Gametime called Gametime Picks. And it takes all the guesswork out of getting your tickets. It makes it easier to filter out the fluff and get the incredible deals on seats that you don't want to waste time searching for through those thousands of tickets. Get Gametime Picks. The curation makes it easy to get all the sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, anything that you're looking for. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create your account, and use our code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create the account, use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you'll get $20 off of your first ticket purchase at Gametime. It's last-minute tickets. It is lowest prices, and it's always guaranteed. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. With your schedule right now, the kids' activities, back to school, everything going on, the big work projects, and everything else in your life, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when you know what makes you happy and that you want to prioritize, it's hard to make it happen sometimes. When you feel like you don't have any time for yourself, it's time to make that happen. Therapy can help you with that. If you are thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's certainly geared toward everything that you're looking for, entirely online, suited to your schedule, and can be flexible to match what you need. You just fill out a questionnaire, you get matched with an actual therapist. And if not, if you don't gel or you want to switch therapists at any time, you can do that free of charge. Never skip another therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon. You're going to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/lockedon. You can also get the brand new twice a day now Locked On NFL show with our guy Tyler kicking it off in the morning and Tony Wiggins giving you real talk in the afternoon. It's the new Locked On NFL show, and it's twice a day. You can get that. Make them part of your daily routine over on YouTube and wherever you can get your podcasts. Now, wherever you can get them, you can hear about this particular aspect is the Chiefs have to go first. Normally, I would say you don't want to rush it, right? But there's been so much that's gone to this point. I do believe they're in a good spot. Obviously, you're going to miss Hollywood Brown. That's a negative. There's no way to cut that any other way. But it allows you to catch a defense that is also putting some pieces together where maybe you're a little bit ahead. Maybe you have Xavier Worthy tuned up a little bit more. Now you have Rashee Rice that is, I think, breathing a sigh of relief that can be the focus of the pass game if it isn't Travis Kelsey. And I think that allows you to hit the ground running. I see the advantage for the offense in playing early against a Ravens defense that's made a couple of changes. How do you read it?
Well, and I think, the big thing here is I don't know that Hollywood Brown would have been able to play even if it was a Sunday game. It sounds like he's going to be out maybe even into week 2. So you don't really have a huge bonus being able to start early. Obviously, that injury is not something you want, but I think that it doesn't really matter because he wasn't going to play. It sucks it's against the Ravens, his old former team. I'm sure he's going to be down that he can't play. But you look at this and you're right. They're going up against a defense that is brand new. They have brand new pieces. You're in a situation where you're having to deal with some changes, and I think that that's a good sign for Kansas City and their offense. And Andy Reid has been in this offense for for multiple years. Obviously, Mahomes has been here, but you bring back a guy like Juju who can step into the offense and knows what's going on, and you have a guy like Rashid Rice who's coming into year 2, and it sounds like he's looking even better than he did in year 1. And if you go back and watch how he played towards the end of the season last year and in the playoffs, he was taking his game to a whole new level. And I think it's going to be even bigger this year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's able to do.
I agree with you. And I even made him a selection in some of my fantasy drafts this last weekend because
So
I
did
do
I.
think he can step his game up. Did you? Okay. So I mean, I do believe that's going to be on the rise here, despite not having Hollywood. And then you just throw that on top. I do think eventually Hollywood may become the wide receiver 1 just due to the veteran effect, but it's going to be close. And having a 3-pronged attack in the wide receiver room plus Travis Kelce, you can pepper that in a little bit here in this early game. Is it going to be the full install of all your crazy plays? Probably not, but that's okay. We have seen them go a little vanilla early. That's going to work to their advantage as long as they can execute. And I feel like that's been there. They've rested Isaiah Pacheco. I think they're going to get a healthy dose of him. See how much they sprinkle in Pirine, who right now they're still hopeful that he'll be ready to go. It feels like he will be to me, but we'll get more confirmation for you here, folks, as the game draws near. But the other thing on the flip side is this is a defense that in the preseason we saw blitz more than maybe we're used to seeing from Steve Spagnuolo before the games count, right? I think that's directly related to what we're going to see on the right-hand side of the Ravens line, right? Roger Rodengarten is likely to be the starter at right tackle. Now, I like Roger. If he had fallen and they had gotten him for this team, I think they would have been okay. But he's playing next to a second-year player in Denafal Lele, who's going to be their right guard. And so I do think overload blitzing, committing to the outside and getting somebody in that B gap, that is going to be part of the philosophy. We'll talk in the game preview later in the week, folks, the specifics of it. But that's an advantage, again, in having 2 young players on that offensive line trying to protect Lamar. I see that as an advantage for the Chiefs as well.
Yeah, and it's 2 guys that are really big in power, but not a lot in speed, and I think that could be an issue as well that I think the Chiefs could take advantage of. And I know the Chiefs don't have a ton of speed rushers, but what they do have is they have guys that can blitz from the safety position, the corner position, the linebacker position. That can be taken to it. You can take advantage of that if those guys get out of where they should be in their pass to Lamar. So I do think that that's going to be something that they'll take advantage of, and I'm really looking forward to it. Falele is a huge man. So if he gets his hands on you, you're likely not going to be going very far. And Rosengarten's pretty big as well, so it's kind of the same thing there. But you have guys that are going to, I think, a guy like Karlaftis may not go against Rosengarten very much, but I think that he could have a pretty decent game against him because of the hand fighting. I think that is one of the things that he's really worked on. I think he's gotten a lot better at. And if if they don't get their hands on you, it's going to be a lot tougher. So I'm looking forward to watching the Chiefs get after it in the pass rush. I'm curious to see what they're going to be throwing out. And I do think Spags was really testing some things in the preseason to kind of see what they look like and get some actual film on them to have an idea, okay, can we actually do this? Is this something that's going to work for our defense, or is this something that's, we're not ever going to use? Because you're right. He went a lot more into aggressiveness than we've ever seen him go in the preseason. Everything is usually pretty vanilla, both on offense and defense. That definitely wasn't the case.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that tells you just how much they've been looking towards this game. I also feel like getting it out of the way early allows you, especially for how young this team is. And you had a stat. Where is this roster right now as it stands in terms of youth amongst the league?
As far as I know, it's still 4th. I put that out a couple days ago.
4th.
They've made a couple of moves, so I think that's probably still about the same, but they were 4th, which is just under 26 years old is their average age, which is ludicrous when you start taking into account some of the guys they have on this roster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kelsey
That goes a
34.
long way, and that's an advantage too. Yeah. Yeah, right. And at that point, when you are that young, having this first game, going first and having that extra couple of days rest for the next one, I think does help for you to kind of reset. You're putting everything into this Ravens attack, and then you reset for the Bengals. I think that'll help.
Yeah, and one of the things I think is great is Patrick Mahomes specifically stated going into this today, I think actually, that one of the things he's really looking forward to is the guys that haven't been here before to be able to run out on the field and see what it's like in Arrowhead in a raucous environment like it's going to be in Arrowhead. I guarantee you that place is going to be rocking on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be crazy. And we will have a pregame breakdown for what to look for coming up later in the week. But you also have a little bit of an obstacle here on how to avoid a rough start. There are some tripwires out there you have to be able to dance over. What are they? That's coming up next. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active users. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, PrizePicks, you just bet you against the numbers. Super simple. All you have to do is go more or less on 2 to 6 players of your choosing in a projection and watch the winnings roll in. Right now, they're giving you a deal. Caleb Williams, 1 yard. We've seen this deal for Patrick Mahomes before. Every week in September, that's right. You only need 1 yard to get a win right there. 4 weeks for free W's is what you're looking for over on PrizePicks. I really love that one. I love the over-under on Patrick Mahomes because it's about targets versus yards, and you can always get something that's Chiefs-related as well. So check it out. Download the PrizePicks apps right now. Use our code LOCKEDONNFL, and you get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that 50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Now, folks, make sure you sub over to KC Chiefs Corner, to NFL 33, and to RGR Football here on YouTube. That'll help us out. Make sure you like and sub this video and get with us here. Now, looking ahead to how do you avoid a rough start, it's the flip side of a coin we just talked about. Because, yes, you have some young guys on the right-hand side of that offensive line for Baltimore, but you have some experience on the other side. And that's where it comes into Chris Jones has been out. Derek Notty's been out for most of this preseason. You get to the point where, yeah, Derrick Henry's in the house, and they're going to come after you. So you got to be able to stop the run, whether you're Mike Dana, whether you are FAU, and certainly George Karlaftis. They're going to look to kick those guys out and make lanes right off of the guards to try to get quick vertical routes. And it's all about the tackle's ability to eat those blocks and maybe disrupt. I hope that they're able to get a little bit of penetration through the gaps, in particular with Mike Pennell. I think he's here and he's on this roster for this ballgame. How do you think that they have to go, and where do they have to be of Derrick Henry at this age?
They definitely got to be weary of him at this age. I think that you look at how this game is going to play out, and the problem that Henry presents is Baltimore wants to run, and they're going to run now with Henry, but they also want to run with Lamar. And so now you're in a situation where you have both power and speed coming at you at the field on the same time because you're not going to get away from one or the other. I mean, Henry will come out for some plays, but you're going to have a situation where you're going to have to be dealing with both of them on the field. And in situations where it's not going to be obvious to rush or pass, it's going to be a problem. That's just the reality of it, and you have to deal with it. I think that this is going to be a very big game for those guys inside, and I do think you talk about a guy like Derek Notty, Pennell, those types of guys are going to have to be really strong and really eat on those gaps and keep things plugged up as much as they possibly can. Because if you get this into a game where they have to throw the ball to beat you, I think you have to feel a lot better about it than if the Ravens are able to run the ball, 35 times between Henry and Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. All I'm saying, just one thing, Jaden, Mr. Hicks, you cannot tackle him high, okay? I know it's been a great preseason, but you cannot go at him high, okay, bro? You will end up on the negative side of an all-star play. Do not do it. This in particular emphasizes Leo Chanel, Drew Tranquil, Jaden Hicks for me. I do think that I feel like they'll bring in Hicks a little bit earlier than maybe we'd normally expect a rookie to play because of the fact that Justin Reed's missed so much time in the preseason as well. Otherwise, I think you might roll with him. But I think they want Justin Reed to be able to pay attention to Andrews if he's there. I don't have an injury update on him right now at the tight end spot. It is Isaiah Likely that's going to give you some of that movement as well. So Hicks is going to be somewhere involved, but we'll see exactly how they rotate it. But good Lord, man, do not try to tackle Derrick Henry high. I don't care that he's 30 years old, dude. Just don't do it.
Yeah, and you want to stay healthy for the season, so don't do it in that regard as well. I agree with you, and I think that you look at what this is going to come down to. They're gonna, like you said, and kind of like what I said, they're gonna try to run the ball on you. If you can stop the run, and you can make them throw. I think you have a much better chance of beating this Ravens team. And the nice thing is regardless of how this game turns out, when it comes to run versus pass, you have an extra 3 days to prepare for Cincinnati. So that is going to be very beneficial because this is going to be a very physical game. At least when you're talking about the Ravens offense versus the Chiefs defense. I don't know how physical the Chiefs offense will get against the Ravens defense because I do think that they're going to try to take advantage of the speed that they're going to have on the field on offense.
Agreed. Now, folks, it is an early
So
game this week.
yeah, I just was gonna say the big thing for me, the biggest key, and have to avoid a rough start, catch the ball. Just do the little things. If you do that,
I hope so.
remember how they lost last week 1 last year. If you don't have those small mistakes, you should be able to win this game. They beat themselves to an extent last year. Don't get me wrong, Detroit played well, but they beat themselves to an extent. And if you just hold on to the ball, and they're not going to have Kadarius Toney on this team, so he can't mess it up for him.
Catch the ball first, then try to make yards. It's a A-B thing. We're going to have more for you all week long as we get ready for an early kickoff. It is going to be Thursday. We'll have a game preview for you. Don't you worry. But make sure that you are ready for it by liking, subbing, and getting on not just this, but the Spotify and the Apple Podcast accounts. We appreciate you. We're ready for it. We hope you are. The regular season is here, and the run to the three-peat is beginning as of right now. So with all that said, be with us every step of the way. We have you 5 days a week for free on every single platform, just like the rest of the Locked On Podcast Network. Check out another Locked On show for your next one, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.